Okay. So the Niners have picked 27. The combine is underway. They're finally getting into the underwear Olympics today. It's early, but given your preliminary work on the draft, who are some players at 27 that you think are in play?
Okay, so obviously we started talking tackle. I think Monroe Freeling is at play. Guard from Georgia, 6'7", 315, young guy, 21 years old, very good feet, strong hands, athletic, not just for his size, but athletic, period, which is a plus. He's got a lot of upside. This could be somebody that could actually sit behind Trent and wait to be a successor. I don't see him being plugged in as a left guard band-aid and kind of moving over. He is a pure tackle. I'd love to pick him up at 27. Also, if we're staying on the tackle side of the game, Caleb Lomu, tackle from Utah, 6'6", 304. He's an outside zone tackle type guy. He's a little bit more fundamental, a little less athletic than Monroe Freeling, but stronger. All right, this guy is really tough in the run game. He does not get fooled on stunts and TE twist. He's very conscientious on the edge. He's somebody that even if you get kind of like a big, flashy edge that usually uses dip and rips to kind of get around him, he envelops guys. He's very poised. I like Caleb Lomu. Now, if we're looking at as far as skill is concerned, I would love to go with Sadiq at tight end. Right? That's the number one tight end in this year's draft. Kenyon Sadiq, 6'3", 245 from Oregon. He's a move tight end, all right? So he's not necessarily your traditional attached tight end where he can block big ends or smaller outside linebackers. He can do it. All right. That's one thing that they can work on and develop that here, but that's not necessarily his forte. What he majors in is the pass game, dynamic catches, making guys miss. All right. Getting safeties down in the lane on that hash, routing them up, stemming outside of them. Really big guy. He'll lay out and go get balls too. That's another thing. Very athletic. Also a big gap guy, right? So he's not all routes. One thing about him is that he turns into a running back once he gets the ball. He's dynamic. I think that not only could he be somebody that could be a number one for us and play in the stead of George Kittle to get him ready, but he could also play with George. Another thing. Also, I think because of his base as far as being a strong athlete, right, he can actually block. Playing him at H would not be something that I couldn't see happening with Kenyon Sadiq. Now, if we're looking at anything about edge this year is loaded. There's tons of edges in this year's draft. Some guys that I like are the Akeem Messidor, who played opposite Ruben Bain Jr., who's going to be a very high pick out of Miami. The one thing about Akeem Messidor is that he is a little sawed off as far as size is concerned. They say he's 290. He's more of 275, 280 on a good day. One thing that I like about Akeem Messidor is that he kind of is built like Kevin Givens in a sense, right? Not that tall, not that long of an athlete, stumped down. But one thing that he does do is he can run. Akeem Messidor is somebody that can go sideline to sideline, can penetrate. He's also somebody who may get enveloped in the run game, but as far as like chasing down on weak side tosses, backside cracks, Hakeem Messidor is your guy. Another guy that I like coming out of Missouri is Zion Young, 6'5", 262. He's somebody who I don't think of necessarily as a first-round pick, definitely a second-round guy. But if edges go quick, there could be like 7, 8 edges that go quick in this year's draft. He's somebody that you may want to snatch up early if you're looking at somebody to go forward to. Now, if they want to go guard, an interior offensive lineman, right? This year's draft, like I said, is way more talented than last year's draft. And because of that, players and groups and position groups are getting pushed down the draft just because of so much talent. Now, this year's guard class, their top 10 of these guys could have very well gone in that lower half of the first round or the second round last year. That's how good they are. But because of how good this year's draft is, these are third round picks, top 50 picks, top 75 picks, but early day 3 picks. One guy that is worth his weight in gold as far as first rounds are concerned is Vega Iawone, the guard out of Penn State, 6'4", 333. He can play in any scheme. All right. This is somebody where he will be the best guard that we've seen play since Mike Upati.
Okay.
First day we play him.
Hey,
So
if he's
I
there at
love him.
27, why not? I don't know if he'll be there.
Yeah, definitely. Now, somebody that's a little bit more realistic. Everybody's heard this name before, Jennings Dunker, out of Iowa, right? Six
They
five,
just
three
drafted a
twenty.
guard out of Iowa last year. You know the scheme fit.
Outside zone guard. And he also plays a little bit of tackle as well. So we may have somebody who can help us if he doesn't start. He could be a swing tackle for us. I love Jennings' play. He's very flexible. He's got good hips, dexterity in his hands. He's strong too. One thing that I mean about dexterity is that he has independent hands. I love the way that he picks up stunts. He's able to keep hands off and be able to switch on. He's not a double puncher. Also, some guys that I like at guard as well. Jaden Roberts out of Alabama, 6'5", 335, 6'5", 335. Another good guy. Kalen Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. There's tons of guards, Grant, this year.
Yeah.
Chase Basantis. If we don't go Vega Iowone, if they went in the second round and picked up Chase Basantis, the guard out of Texas A&M, he'd be crazy. I
There's
don't
two
really
guards coming out of
like,
Texas A&M this year.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't really like this year's receiving
Okay.
class, to be honest with you. I don't see anybody that's necessarily dynamic. I think that the number one receiver overall, I know people are going to say Coach is crazy. I think Carnell Tate is a number two receiver. And that's the best receiver in the league. I mean, best receiver in the draft right now. Guys that make sense for us. I don't think that if we're going X hunting, nobody in the first five guys is our guy. That includes Omar Cooper Jr., who's the Debo clone that everybody likes, KC Concepcion, who we've already talked about, coming out of Texas A&M, even Mekhi Lemon, who I've heard people talk about. None of these guys are true X's. The only guy that I see as a prototypical X that we could pick up right now would be David Boston out of Washington, 6'4", 209.
Denzel
He's a
Boston.
guy.
David Boston was when we were
I'm
kids.
sorry, yes, Denzel Boston. Sorry. 6'4", 205. You can put him on the outside. He'll take the top off. He'll require the number one corner in him to have basically a phone booth game all game. And on top of it, he's tough as nails. He can run the full route tree. He can run those crossers. He can get inside. He can play small ball with Brock with all of those comebacks, hooks, and slants. That's somebody who I would go for. That's actually worth the first round pick. Now, if we got a receiver outside of the first round pick, Zachariah Branch is my guy. I
I
think
like
we can put
Zachariah
him at
Branch too.
slant. Yes, dynamic receiver.
Yeah.
We already
Yeah.
saw him at USC, transferred to Georgia. He was their everything guy. Running back, slots, comebacks, punt returner, kick returner, just their do-it-all ball hawk. Some guys that I also like as far
That
as
being said, though, like he's a little short, and I wonder Brock Purdy's fit with shorter wide receivers just because he's a little short too. And I'm watching Kenyon Sadiq, dude. Kenyon Sadiq and Brock Purdy would be a pretty nice combination
it'd
because
be
he's a bigger
nasty.
receiver and he's good over the middle. But you can do him. You can use him like on wheel routes and stuff outside the numbers too. And he's really good after the catch. Like I don't know what kind of a blocker he is, but he could really be a go-to guy mismatch in the pass game that you could give a ton of
Yeah,
targets to.
for sure. Now, let's get to what we've all been waiting for. The position that you and I love to talk about, defensive tackle. Because this, I believe that defensive tackle is where the Niners should go in the first round,
Okay.
honestly. I think that we need to double down on something that we actually found a lot of headway in last year. We were absolutely abysmal at stopping the run the year before in 2024. Horrible. For us to come in and have somebody like an Alfred Collins step up, we finally got some consistency out of Kalia Davis. All right. We need to help those guys out. All right. They barely got through the season healthy. And I think doubling down on defensive tackle for us to be able to just stop the run. And that gives us a fighting chance. And what is today's NFL right now? The Seahawks are going to run all over us. We need to be able to stop the run. My guy is defensive tackle Peter Woods out of Clemson. 6'3", 315. Peter Woods is a better version of Walter Nolan in my opinion. All right. Peter Woods, he is somebody who can be a true three technique for us. All right. He can run all over the field. We're talking about a guy that's tipping at 315 to 320 pounds, Grant, but he's running a sub 4.8 40. All right. This guy can get sideline to sideline, penetrate in the backfield, hold and anchor down, take on double teams. This is somebody that can actually help out Alfred Collins and honestly unlock talent that we already have here. This is what I mean by that. CJ West is having a rough go of it as far as finding his place on the depth and actually ascending to what we think he should be. I thought, along with others, that even when we picked up Alfred Collins, there were whispers that CJ West was going to be the tackle, the other D tackle that kind of started faster. And it looked that way earlier on in OTAs and minicamp. CJ West was somebody whose name was always coming up. When the pads came on and we started playing real football, his name kind of dwindled and it went that way into the season. One thing about CJ West is that he's just not a big player. He doesn't have a big frame. The type of game that he has is that of DJ Jones, right? He wants to hunker down, get into that shade position, put two hands on the center, and actually two gap. He doesn't get to be able to do that necessarily playing at the 5 or the 3 technique because he doesn't have that length. He gets enveloped by bigger guards. One thing about getting Peter, and because of that, we don't use him as much. One thing about getting Peter Woods and be able to have him spell and play opposite Kalia Davis or Alfred Banks. I mean, his name is Alfred Banks, right? No, it's not. Alfred Collins. Alfred Collins. I'm sorry. Alfred Collins would be able to give CJ West a true role in the packages that we know are coming from Coach Morris with this 34 look. Now, I think that could help us out a lot. So being able to get another D tackle not only helps us, but it strengthens the versatility that we have that we can't necessarily unlock because we don't have that depth. We need depth.
I hear you. I would rather take Caleb Lomo if he's there.
Okay.
But this guy seems really good. I mean, nothing against him. He might be like, I don't know enough about Peter Woods to tell you. And honestly, they should just take the best player available. They should. But I mean, they put themselves in a position where if they take Peter Woods, it raises questions about their picks from last year. I mean, because the way I look at, we've talked about this. Alfred Collins is a good prospect. I don't know what kind of upside he has. But Mykel Williams was your first round pick, and I don't think he's an edge rusher. I don't think he's an edge player at all. I think he is a very young 3 technique who needs to put on about 30 pounds.
Yep.
So if you bring in Peter Woods, great, man. But that raises questions about Collins and Mykel Williams in the future to me, which is fine. Maybe they're not the right. Maybe they're not the answer. Maybe this guy is. But if you could add a first round pick to your offensive line, that would be so exciting. And whether he could play left tackle, left guard, could Caleb Lomu play guard for a year?
I think he could. I think he could do it. He's got the fundamentals too, and he's so poised at that left tackle spot that I think that him playing guard would work really, right?
Well, there's going to be a lot of good options. Joseph Ernberg says, watch Kyle trade up for Jeremiah Love. That'd be pretty far. All right.